right, we are live. It is Thursday, January 22nd, and this is a quick check-in on design tasks for Backdrop CMS. For those of you who don't know, Backdrop is a content management system specifically engineered for small to medium-sized businesses, nonprofits, educations, and companies that are concerned about building comprehensive websites on a budget. We've got short-term and long-term intended audience, where our short-term target audience is mostly people who already have existing Drupal 7 sites and are looking for a more affordable alternative for moving forward with them. Longer term, we're going to take that audience, we're going to expand it, we're going to push the product downstream, we're going to improve the user interface, we're going to make it easier to run, easier to update, and we're going to try and move more into the WordPress market rather than moving upstream into more powerful tools. We're going to try and move downstream and make better tools for everyone. So we have a bunch of tasks that are related to design we've been working on. We've got a couple that are kind of half done. I'm not sure everything will ever be all done, but we've got a couple things we're working on. The first one is the primary Backdrop website. It has gotten to a point where we're happy with what it's doing right now. We have some designs for implementing some mobile navigation that looks really good, but the website itself is going to be ported from Drupal to Backdrop, and so we're going to hold off on implementing those designs until after we get the site moved to Backdrop, so that we don't have to do it once for Drupal and once for Backdrop. So that's kind of our current plan, is first port it over and then finish implementing the designs that we have. But it's functional, it looks good, it works really well, it's pretty clean and simple, and we like the way it works right now. We also have a couple of new pages that we're going to be adding fairly soon. We want to put up a modules page and a themes page that will actually search our list of all available contributed modules and themes for people. We can give them, I don't know, ways to rate things if we want to, or descriptions of things. And right now, all of our contributed projects are on GitHub. So before we can put these pages on our current website that'll let you to search modules and themes, we need to build a service on GitHub that'll let us register these modules and themes for Backdrop, so that we can pull them off and create them in a way that makes sense. So we kind of have a blocker on all of the features we're going to be implementing on the website functionality-wise. But if we wanted to move forward with thinking through interaction design for those things, that would also be something that we could work on at any point now. So that's our flagship site. We also have longer term plans there to do profile pages for people, company listings, job offers, all of these things that have worked really well in the Drupal community. We want to do the same thing for Backdrop, but of course we want to make sure we have those things before we start building listings of them. So with time, we have plans, but we're not going to implement those things. So other than the primary website, backdropcms.org, we're also struggling with the API website. It is a site that expands the code base and lists all of the functions that are currently in Backdrop. It also is going to contain all of our developer-focused information. So if you need documentation on how to write a module, or how to write a theme, or how to write a layout, you want to know our coding standards, you want to know how to contribute to core, all of that information is going to be on the API site instead of on the public website. And then that way, it'll be a little bit more developer-focused to give developers a kind of a home base. That site is going to eventually be using the same thing as our public-facing website, with a couple of adaptations. Like, we want to make sure the code looks good on the API site. So if we need to make a couple of changes to that, we can. However, that website also needs to be supported with Backdrop. I'm working on that right now. So after we get that site ported to Backdrop, we will also take the primary Backdrop theme and put that on the API website as well and adapt it as needed. So again, we've got some technical blockers in terms of what we're actually doing. I don't think we have any blockers in design. I think probably what we'll end up doing with the API site is implementing it as is and then doing a design review of it rather than trying to redesign the whole thing. So I think we're really happy with what we have so far. So those are the websites that we're working on. We also are doing some work on Backdrop the product. So for Backdrop the product, we have two things that are currently underway. One of them is design for the administration theme, and one of them is implementation for the administration theme. So currently what we're doing for design is we're doing design series, we are implementing it in the style guide, and that part goes really fast. We can get the pictures, make the pictures into a tech pretty quick. The slow part is going to be taking the stuff from the style guide, figuring out how we want to put that into Backdrop and putting it in. So we've been bouncing around a couple of different ideas. One of them is that entirely new administration things. Rather than having just 7, we would shift 7 and something that maybe and then somewhere we would change the default theme when new installs with Backdrop to use the new admin theme. That way we could implement it anytime it's a new feature. It doesn't compete with guys, and it'll be really easy to get in. Other people are recommending that some of these changes that we make we could just put directly into 7. Like some of them, it's just directly a Dropbox. Some of them are changing the way a status message looks. And these are things that don't necessarily need to go into a new theme. We could just put them into what's there already. If it doesn't require any proper changes, yeah, change. So I think there's some kind of philosophical things we need to think about in terms of how to change what the administration feels like on Backdrop. And then there's some technical things like do you want to include font library, turn them into SVGs and put those in for. There's a bunch of different schools on how to approach these problems with some technical, philosophical things to address in terms of getting that stuff. Let's see. We also would like to put a new front-end design and theme into Backdrop at some point. And this is, again, not an API change, this is something new. But Bartik is great, but nobody wants to run Bartik on live websites. And it would be good if we could put a new front-end theme that was clean enough that people would just say, oh, I'll just use this one, and don't bother adding a theme of their own. And I think that was the original plan for Garland and Bartik and all of these themes that were in core. When they had integration with color module, you could supposedly pick your colors. I just think it's the style that's on Bartik is not versatile enough for people who are running websites today, for them to feel like it's their brand. Like it's not enough of a blank slate. And so I think at some point we have someone who's really interested in designing or implementing a new front-end theme for core. The process for that would be design it, build it, and contrib, and then open it to core that says put this theme in core as a new front-end theme. And then we could evaluate it, try it, see what we thought, and then put it into core. That can happen in the 1.0 release cycle if we want to do that sooner rather than later, because it just so that's also on the agenda here. We have a bunch of very small.
Do any other CMS have an example?
Tasks in GitHub, design an admin interface for layouts module, little things like that that might need a little work, like some way to clean up the status report page. We're looking for small things that need attention, or we have a list of small things that need attention if we want to have anyone look at those. There's a tag on GitHub and a link here for things that you can jump in on. We also have user experience related tasks, the same kind of list on GitHub. These are more like, you know, a good example of one is when we released Backdrop, we had on the node form, if you took a piece of content out of a parent menu or told it wasn't going to go in the menu, the select option would be empty, but it would stay there, but it would look broken. And I felt that having something look broken was a bad user experience, and if the select was empty, the whole thing should disappear so that it looked clean. And so we had someone fix that right away, which is really great. So there's just a bunch of little teeny tiny things like that when you interact with something, if it behaves funny, or you have trouble finding it, or put a link somewhere, move the link, just things like that. There's a tag. Actually, on GitHub, we aren't using a tag for user experience. It's just the issues. Just the issue title starts with square brackets and then the letters U and X in there. So if anyone's particularly interested in user experience, if you find issues, you can start the title with that. Or if you want to fix those issues, you can search for issues that have UX in the title. So bigger picture, we've got a couple of things coming down the pipeline that we think will be really helpful for Backdrop. We're developing some human interface guidelines, so kind of some rules around interface patterns that we use in Backdrop and when to use them, like when to use a field set, when do you use a drop button, when to use a vertical tab, so that these patterns that we have in core get used correctly all throughout core, because sometimes it's inconsistent right now, and also so that people in Contrib will know when do I use which type of application. And that way, I know a lot of times people will just use field sets to group together because they need to group together, but they may not understand the implications that has when you're on the screen reader and you're trying to navigate the page. So if we can document exactly when you're supposed to use a field set, it'll help people who are writing code know, oh, this is the circumstance that needs to be field set, and this is not. And it'll help, I think, Contrib make better, more usable products as well as core. So we need that in both places. We also have some branding guidelines, and these are mostly for backdropcms.org, but we'll probably carry over a little bit into the administration theme. We'll have the same feel in the administration theme as we have on the primary website, but we won't strictly adhere to the guidelines. And there's a page on Drupal.org, I'm not sure if it's linked here from the agenda, I don't think it is, that explains Drupal's brand guidelines, which I think is a really great example of a document that we should maybe aim to use, where it has, here are the logos for download, this is how you should use the logo, this is how much space needs to be around the logo, this is the font, this is the color, just some kind of general stuff like that. I think it would be great if we could write up some public documentation like that around Backdrop's brand as well. And I know we've got a draft of that going, but we haven't quite. Actually, we don't have a draft guide. Doesn't look like it. This link is also not right.
Isn't there something resembling that in some form already on your site? Uh-oh.
What was that?
Well, I think I lost you. Yeah, you have some kind of brand guidelines on the website currently, right?
We have a press kit that has information about the logo and the dragon, but that's it.
Okay, yeah. I actually thought it was a pretty great start.
Yeah, I think it's a good start.
I like how it's kind of casual.
Okay, well maybe we don't need anything more than this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a nice format. It seems easy to update. You can invest a lot of time in making a fancy style guide, but I mean, I think this is a great start, maybe a good way to approach it.
Okay, well let's leave it like this for a while and not worry about anything else. One thing I would like to find some way to distribute is our color palette. I've needed to give it to a couple of different people, like people working on stickers, and I didn't have anywhere public to post the colors. I know those might not be completely final versions of the colors yet.
Sure.
But maybe we could put a GitHub issue somewhere where, like, here's the color palette. That might be sufficient.
Yeah, and I mean, even add it to the press kit, maybe, right?
Yeah, that could work too. Okay.
At least for now.
Yep. All right, so that's all we have on the agenda. There are a couple of things we're trying to figure out. Like, we have a bunch of people who have offered not necessarily design resources, but front-end user experience resources, and we're trying to figure out our best way to put everybody to work. We've got a bunch of design tasks kind of all blocked by develop tasks, which is funny. Usually we have usually we have development, like more development resources that we know what to do with, but right now we're kind of stuck. So the new websites that we're working on porting to Backdrop, we've just got a handful of modules left that need to be ported. I know a ton of them are already getting ported right now, so I'm not going to ask for any more help on that because I think they're already going a million miles an hour. But then as soon as we get those ported to Backdrop, we're going to need a new theme, I guess a new base theme that we're going to need one version of for the website and another version for the API site. And I think we might need some new layouts that involve 2 left sidebars. So I think we're going to have some tasks here pretty soon. As soon as those are ready to go, then we'll be able to distribute those that we've been moving on. But I think until then, we're kind of stuck. The big thing that I think I would like to get wrapped up really soon is our style guide. Let me see if I can open our style guide. I think it's really close. Darius gave us a bunch of really great designs, and we've implemented most of them. There's a couple things that need a little review, and a couple things that probably need a little more attention. We're getting. What's this linking here? So we've got significant changes are fonts, that we're now using the backdrop font instead of Drupal's fonts. We've got better colors, like maybe not better colors, different colors. The header feels lighter, the buttons are more subtle. I really like the message style we've got going on. We need more space in our table, which makes it feel less heavy. It's just generally, I think, much better. Oh, my personal favorite, the drop buttons. But yeah, we're getting there. There's something about that up today, and then I think as soon as we get this done, we just got to figure out technically how to put it into Backdrop. Hopefully sooner rather than later. I've gotten some feedback from some people already that they're like, I installed it, but it looks just like Drupal 7, and I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. We had a lot of stuff to work on getting 1.0 out, so all at the same time, most of it the last minute. But yeah, we will get this in, and then it'll start to feel more backdrop-y and less Drupal-y. Well, thanks for coming, Darius. Did you have any particular questions or anything else you want to add?
Yeah, no, I need to catch up with the work that I've done thus far, wrap up the style guide. I'll do that today.
Okay.
And then, I'll get your final set of impressions about that, and then we can talk about next steps.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay.
Awesome.
And then,
cool.
Yeah, I guess we won't be meeting next week. We will be meeting again on February 5th for design stuff. And then depending on, I know this meeting's now gotten a little shorter, pretty long at the beginning. Depending on how crazy our dev meeting is, we might merge the two back together just to make it easier to manage the schedule for everyone. So we'll try and figure that out long term if we want to just put both meetings together. I know the reason we scheduled this one at noon is because in India it's hard to stay up until 3 a.m. to have a meeting, or 2 a.m. or whatever it was. So earlier in the day is better for them. So we'll try and find a good time that works for everyone, and we'll try and schedule accordingly. All right. Well, thanks for coming, Darius, and thanks for watching. And we'll meet again in 2 weeks.
Cool.